Let's go to the New York Rangers. So they had a monster year last year. First in the Metro, first in the league, in fact. President's Trophy champions. They 5v5 were not incredibly strong. They were pretty average. 19th in Corsi for percentage, 18th in expected goals for percentage, and 16th in scoring chances for percentage at even strength. Their 5v5 save percentage was ninth with a 910. Their shooting percentage was 11th at 9.79. This is this is where their bread and butter is. It's their power play.
Yeah.
It was third in the league, 26.4%. It's been near the top of the league perennially for the last few years. And I mean, they have pretty sustainable efficiency on the power play too. They were third in Corsi for percentage, Corsi for per 60, fourth in expected goals for per 60, and sixth in scoring chances for per 60. So, they generate a ton, they score a ton. That's just a really good power play. Like, I don't see
Oh, yeah.
that there being a ton of regression there. So
Yeah.
that's yeah. If there's a lot to be excited about with the New York Rangers power play, that's for sure.
Totally.
In terms of key departures, Blake Wheeler, Jack Roslovic, Eric Gustafson, Barclay Goodrow, none of them are really big names. So not really, and certainly not big fantasy names anymore,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
And then key additions, Riley Smith. I think he's a guy that's going to get some time on the Zibanejad Kreider line, because there is a spot that's kind of been like a merry-go-round of people. So I think I don't know. What do you think about Riley Smith? Is that a guy that is exciting for you?
Definitely not exciting, but I could see the upsides regarding him as a streamer. I'm not drafting him, but definitely I could see the potential sticking with Zibanejad and Kreider. I think it's just a matter of building chemistry with him, because I remember last draft season there was some excitement with him on going to the Penguins, and he didn't really do much with it. So I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of sour on him because like every time I pick this guy up, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's pretty fair. I think that there is potential for some production there, but again, like, uh, his ceiling is probably 60 points, and that's with like 55, 60 points.
Mhm.
That's with power play time, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's what he was getting power play time in Vegas and getting power play points. He's not going to get that here. Like, there's
yeah,
just no space for him on the power play. So I don't think that, but yeah, like you said, I think he's probably going to be a strong streamer just because of
totally.
the opportunity that he's likely going to get 5v5. But yeah, I'm not drafting him at all, I don't think.
No.
Goaltending, we've got Igor Shesterkin, one of the top goalies in the league, 55 starts last year, 918 even strength save percentage. Jonathan Quick, he had 26 starts. He had a banging start to the season,
Yeah.
but ended up with a 906 even strength save percentage. Really, really tanks at the end of the year, and showed his age a little bit.
Yeah.
Shesterkin, I mean, this is a guy that you can pretty much bank on getting 55 starts every season. Like, I
Yeah.
think this is, look at these numbers here on this slide, and that's probably what you can expect out of these guys next year.
Yeah.
So if you're into drafting goalies early, I don't encourage it, but
No.
Shesterkin is a guy that is probably a fairly safe bet there. What do you
Yeah.
think, buddy?
Yeah, no, I agree. There was a stretch there where Shesterkin couldn't really. He had a stretch of some bad performances there, and
Yeah,
that just happens. Even with the most elite goalies, that happens. And
yeah.
and I'm on the zero G train. I respect Shesterkin for what he is. I'm not going to draft him. Have you kept up with another topic, the Jeremy Swayman contract situation at all?
Uh yeah, that's a weird one, hey? Like,
Yeah.
it almost gives a little more context into why they brought Eunice Corpusalo back in the Linus Allmark trade. Like,
Right.
if they were
Yeah, it's interesting.
if they thought that there was any chance that Swayman could hold out, because it sounds like
Yeah,
he might.
Yeah, well, I read a thing on the Bruins subreddit today where Swayman, he seems like he's a little pissed about the arbitration thing. Would make sense, the team's like, you suck and you're not worth the money. So now he's using his leverage.
Yeah.
But he made a really interesting comment where it's like, I don't want to ruin the goalie market for the goalies who are going to sign the contract after I sign this. And, everyone's talking about Shesterkin. So if Shesterkin's probably going to make like $13 million sooner or later, and that's going to really change the makeup of this team.
Ah,
yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
No.
I don't think the goalie. Yeah, they can't. You can't be paying goalies that much money. It's yeah.
But what choice do the Rangers have? You can't let them go, right?
I know. What do you do? In terms of schedule quirks here, 14 back-to-backs. So that's tied for fourth in the league. So Jonathan Quick will get at least a little bit of time there. 36 off nights. That is third in the league. So that is a really solid. That's something to definitely consider when you're drafting. This team seems to always have quite a few off nights, and they're kind of an underrated team in that regard. Their playoff schedule, not so strong. They're in weeks 22 to 24. They have 8 games with 2 off nights. That is the second worst playoff schedule in the league over that stretch. 23 to 25, it's not so dire. 11 games, 6 off nights. So it's kind of middle of the pack, but with a decent amount of off nights. So, but yeah, definitely something to consider through the season.
How much weight would you put into that? How much weight would you put into that? Yeah.
To playoff schedule, you mean?
Yeah. Like you're drafting, and you got maybe Zibanejad coming up, and that his playoff schedule is not great, and he's a pure center. What do you think?
I don't think about it too much during the draft because I know that that's something that I can address later in the season, around the trade deadline. Like if I need to kind of try and improve my games played, I can make a trade. But yeah, during draft season, the off nights thing, that is definitely something I consider, but the playoff schedule, not so much. I don't know about you. Is that something you look at, or is that kind of like too much in the weeds?
And during draft season, I'm like, it doesn't matter because I got to make the playoffs, but the closer we get to the end of the season, I'm always like, fuck, I should have put more weight into playoff schedule because I'm trading for people who have the most optimized playoff schedule. And I even throw a losing trade to my opponents just so I could get someone who has a decent playoff schedule. So I just find it an interesting piece of like fantasy psychology,
Yeah, absolutely. And this team is kind of a key example of how because of the off nights through the year, they are super valuable. But then, if you are thinking about playoff schedule, they're not great, especially over weeks 22 to 24. So, but in that case, that's a situation where I'm like not really worried about it in draft season. I'll pick Rangers, and then if I need to later in the year, I'll just trade them for someone with a stronger playoff schedule. So power play projection, this is an easy one. This is one of the easiest ones. It's going to be Zibanejad, Panarin, Kreider, Trocheck, Fox. Not much changing there. They're really strong. We talked about that already. Let's get into our forward projections. Mika Zibanejad, you mentioned him. I have him bouncing back a little bit. I know there is some concern. He had a decrease in some of his underlying shot and chance rates. It seemed like there was a little bit of a decline, but I still have him bouncing back to 35 goals, 52 assists, 87 points, 33 power play points.
33 points, that's awesome.
Which is a lot. His Apples and Geno's ADP is 59.6. In Yahoo, it's 71.9.
Yeah.
So that there actually could be some value to be had with.
I think so.
Here.
I think he's another case of pissing off fantasy managers who took him in like the third round, fourth round last year, and I'll take him in the 5th or 6th or 7th. The 33 power play center, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Chris Kreider, I've got him for 41 goals, 25 assists, 66 points. He gets hits. He gets a few shots too. His Apples and Geno's ADP is 48.4. His Yahoo ADP 29.8. I'm not really sure why he's being drafted so high, but that does seem wildly high for Chris Kreider. Yeah,
That's
I
weird.
mean, I feel like my projection is relatively bullish on him, and I still am like that's way out of whack. So
Yeah, that's weird.
definitely be wary be wary of that. I think you could get much more value for somebody else at that
Okay.
range.
Yeah.
Um, Riley Smith, we talked about him already. I have him for 19 goals, 25 assists, 44 points. So not a ton to talk about there. He's a
No.
streamer.
Yeah.
Vinny Trocheck, we
Friend of
gotta
the
talk about
show.
him. Vinny Tro, friend of the show. 26 goals, 54 assists, 80 points. That's a career high. I have him getting almost a point per game and 159 hits. He had just a fantastic year last year. And he seems like he's stapled to Artemi Panarin. There's not really
Yeah.
any reason for them to break up this line of Panarin, Trocheck,
No.
Lafreniere. So I do see him. If he does move off of that line, I don't think he'll reach these numbers.
I don't
But
see why
yeah,
they would. That's silly.
his ADP in Apples and Genos is 62. Yahoo it's 58. So
Hmm.
obviously a huge increase uh,
Yeah.
from previous years, but I still think that's you could get a little bit of value for Trocheck. That probably is
Yeah.
where he should be drafted.
It's
It's
fair.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a fair spot. And then Artemi Panarin, I've got him for 43 goals, 65 assists, 108 points, 291 shots, and 38 power play points. He had a huge increase in shot rates, like insane increase, like
It's because
up
he
from
shaved his
like
head.
yeah, maybe that's what it is. He was lighter on his feet.
There you go.
He got rid of 5 pounds of hair and felt like he could fire the puck a little bit more. But I dialed back his shots a little bit just because it was such an outlier. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's certainly possible. Like, and his deployment situation is going to be basically the same.
Yeah.
So I mean, I, I I mean, there's certainly an argument that he could repeat what he did last year, but I do have him getting dialed back a little bit. His Apples and Genos ADP is 11.9, Yahoo 12.4, so right at the back end of the first round in most leagues. Are you taking Panarin at that point?
Yeah. So this is I'm letting my emotions get in the way here. So in one of my points leagues last year, I got him in the third round. And before the draft even started, my brother sent me a trade request for my Panarin for his Tage Thompson, who he took at like eighth
Oh,
overall. And I'm like,
oh,
oh man, bro, I'm gonna rip you off. I feel bad about this, but I clicked accept, and yeah, that screwed me. But
oh.
with
I would have done the
fantasy,
same thing at that
right?
point at the start of the year. Yeah, 100%.
Totally, but with fantasy, you as hard as it is, you can't let your emotions get in the way. I totally think that's fair. I don't know if he's going to reach last year's potential, but if you remember the year prior to Gerard Gallant's last season, he was like a total fucking disappointment. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be deployed like that anymore. And as you said, he's shooting a ton more. I think he's really gelling with Laviolette's system, and Vinny Tro's doing some good work for him. So with that chemistry, if they stick together, I think that's a fair ADP for sure.
Yeah, and then the next guy we're going to talk about, Alexis Lafreniere, he's certainly helping as well.
Yeah.
I have him for 30 goals, 28 assists, 58 points next year. This guy is a guy that has been producing at 5v5 on this line, and could honestly, like, if he was able to get a spot on the power play, this
Oh yeah.
guy could really pop.
Yeah.
But there's just not the space there right now. His Apples
Yeah.
and Genos ADP 97, in Yahoo 99.6, so very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Lafreniere, and I think that there. I mean, I'm not sure that there's huge value. He does hit a little bit.
Mm.
His shot
I
rates and shot and chance rates went up significantly last year.
yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm okay with him in that range. But
Yeah.
I do think that there's a lot of people that are a lot higher on
There's
him
so
and
much more
thinking that he's
value.
going to
Yeah.
pop even further. Even though I don't know that the power play opportunity is there. Like, what's
That's
your feeling on
no.
Laf?
Yeah. I totally agree. It's like he's a great player, and I could agree that that's a fair ADP. the lack of power play is the reason I'm just not taking him on any team. At that ADP, you can get Dylan Larkin, John Tavares, Vince Dunn, John Carlson, Eric Carlson. You know, there's a lot of surprisingly good defensemen in that spot. That I always, if I could get a 1D, especially in the 90s, I'm taking the 1D over a guy who's not even going to lick the power play, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Uh, Philip Heedle's a guy I did want to mention. He's slotted in as their third line center, but I do think there's an opportunity for him if Riley Smith doesn't work out on that second line. For him to slot in as the right wing there, they have done that in the past. Last year, obviously, he had just a myriad of injuries,
Yeah.
concussions, and stuff like that. He had I have him for 24 goals, 25 assists, 49 points, but there is I think there is upside for more if he does get an opportunity higher in the lineup. So Filipino, a guy definitely to watch, and someone that could be a streamer. He's actually my sleeper. I'll mention that in a bit, but then in terms of defense, Adam Fox, I've got him for 15 goals, 66 assists, 80 points, 131 blocks. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a ton of peripheral value, doesn't shoot a ton.
Blocks are nice.
I am still excited for I mean, he's still amongst one of the better fantasy defensemen in the league. His ADP in Apples and Ginos is 34, in Yahoo it's 40. Another guy that I feel like someone is always higher on than I am, so I never end up getting him in leagues.
Exact same situation. I don't think I've had a single year with Adam Fox on my team. He's always been like going in the third round, especially after his Norris win. So he's great. I mean, nearly a point per game defenseman on that power play is awesome, but I don't think I'll be taking him there.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think 40 is reasonable, where he's going in Yahoo, like fourth round. But there are definitely guys in that range on defense specifically that I'm a little bit higher on than Adam Fox.
Hell, Roman Josi could drop to around there, and I think everyone would prefer Roman Josi.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Andre Miller, I've got him for 8 goals, 29 assists, 37 points, 139 hits, 120 blocks. Probably not a guy that you're drafting, but a guy that's still young and could and produces pretty decently at 5v5. I think he's probably at least one of the top candidates to quarterback power play too, although they're not going to play very much. Yeah. So there is some value there.
And I think it's a contract year for him, so he's got some motivation.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, there you go. And then my punt is Jacob Trouba. Nate talked about it on a couple of pods, but Trouba, his defensive metrics were horrendous last year. It's been talked about a lot, but it sounds like they were trying to get rid of him, and he wouldn't waive his no trade, and there's a whole saga with that. So I'm pretty out on Jacob Trouba. I could see his role with the team really diminishing. So I mean, we'll see. I could be wrong about that. I think there is still some peripheral value there, obviously, because he hits and blocks a ton, but I think his offensive upside is definitely going to be curbed.
Yeah.
And then Philip Heedle would be my sleeper. As I mentioned before, my top 3 targets are Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere. It's the best 5v5 line on the team by far. Yeah. And I do think that you know what? I might swap in Zibanejad for Lafreniere, to be honest.
I would. I think I would.
His Yahoo ADP is so low.
Yeah.
I think.
And you want that power play on your team. That's a yummy power play, right?
100%.